Hello, everyone. My name is Anae Agostini. I'm CEO of CID Insurance Programs, and I want to welcome you to our Insuring Community Association PUDs webinar today. CID, just so for those of you that are not familiar with us, we are the broker's preferred wholesale solution. We're a small wholesaler based out of San Diego, and we write in 14 states. So we are very good at what we do, so I hope that you will find this a very interesting webinar and thus be interested in doing some business with us. I want to introduce people that are going to be teaching our webinar today. We have Christina from United States Liability Insurance Company. She is the Community Association Package Assistant Product Leader, and she will be very knowledgeable, be able to add a lot, as well as Doug, who's from USLI as well. And he's their Community Association Product Leader, which is going to be, you'll learn about as well. Michelle Belden is our commercial underwriter here at CID Insurance Programs, and she specializes in community association insurance. And then Jacob Cole is our marketing coordinator, who's taking care of everything behind the scenes. So without further ado, let's move on and talk about some logistics. Next slide.
Yep.
Okay. Everyone, it's a webinar. You're going to be on mute, but you will be able to hear, just not speak. But your voice is important to us, so please pose your questions in the chat room at any time throughout the webinar, and we will stop and answer them. We have a short survey at the end and would really appreciate your feedback as to how we're doing. Without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Christina to get started.
Thank you so much, Anae, and thank you everyone for joining us today. We are super excited to talk to you about community associations. As Anae mentioned, my name is Christina Marushak. I'm the Community Association Product Leader at USLI. So what we're going to go over today, we are going to first and foremost talk about the opportunity. There is so much out there and it continues to grow. Understanding the difference between condos and the planned unit developments and homeowners associations, we have a wide variety that CID can write. Product features and advantages, and last but not least, we want to quote this business and write it with you. So we're going to show you in easy ways how to get a quote. So what is the opportunity? As of 2019, there were over 350,000 community associations in the US. I just read an article the other day saying that there is going, in 2022, the community association industry is looking to have about 4,500 more community associations grow just this year. And with that community associations, there's more than 75 million Americans that live in these type of associations. So that's about, you yourself might live in an association or may know somebody. It's about 3 out of 4 people that live in these types of associations. So they're out there and they're continuing to grow. And then with that, there's over 55,000 property managers in the US that handle these single family homes or condo associations. So that's super key because our coverage does provide it for them. There's no additional insured status, but they're automatically included. So as I mentioned, we are talking about community associations and planned unit developments, but we do have the ability to write a wide variety of community associations. So it could be your single family homes, your residential condos, your townhomes, planned unit developments, mobile home associations. So these are just the top types of associations, and we have the ability to write those. So don't silo it into just condo and planned unit developments. We can consider many of these. And with that, we do usually classify these types of associations into your single family homeowners or planned unit development associations. They may look like that. Again, they're more so the single family homes, and you yourself may live in one. Now, what are the challenges of placing business for these types of associations? Many carriers or brokers, they might, request ACORD apps, carrier apps, many different types of apps. There are various different underwriting teams. They're handling the different coverage lines. You're going to receive different policies where, at CID, we're providing you with that full package quote. We can provide you all lines of business on one policy, really that ease of doing business. This marketplace is volatile. There are many carriers that are pulling out of these types of association or limiting what they can write. So CID and USI, we have the ability, we are a stable market. We are that stable solution for these types of associations. And we have a quick turnaround time. We mentioned earlier that we're going to show you the ease of doing business. We can quote these over the phone. We can quote these online if you prefer that. If you prefer sending them in, we do have a rolling turnaround time. If not same day, which usually it is, you're going to get it the first thing the next morning. So we really want to help you write many of these opportunities and make it easy. So with that, we have the ability to write these on a package policy. So one of them is the property component. So if the association is not responsible for the residential structures, they might have different types of property components within the association. So if it's a single family homeowners association and the individual unit owners are responsible for their own insurance and maintenance of the buildings, then we can have, these amenities, they can include clubhouses, cabanas, walkways, fences, guardhouses, you name it, you got it. This is just a few of these that we can include. So we do list them all out on our application, and if you need them, we can provide the coverage up for this outdoor property component up to 1.5 million TIV. So as you see here, there's fences, there's a welcome sign, there could technically be a guardhouse or clubhouse later in the association. We have the ability to write the outdoor property, and then for your smaller condo associations with those smaller units, we have the ability to write up to that 1.5 million if they're actually looking for the shell of the condo association. Now, the general liability, CID and USI, we have that great solution. So we can package the property with the general liability exposures. So what types of physical liability exposures does the association have? Again, they can have pools, walkways, streets, bodies of water, just lakes or ponds. They might have a security guard in the front. So we have the ability to write everything that's in the common area of the association. Usually we just need to either know the number of amenities that they have, or it's an open space or lake. We just need to know the number of acres, but very simple. Essentially, we want to let you know that we have the ability to include all of this onto one policy. As I mentioned, we can include sports courts, or if there's a pool and a clubhouse, these are all amenities that we can include on the package quote. So what key underwriting information do we need? For the liability, we have the ability to write up to 500 units for condo associations and up to 1,000 for your single family or planned unit developments.
And Christina,
sure.
I just wanted to point out that CID Insurance Programs has a number of markets. You guys are our preferred go-to, but if they have a larger risk that they would need coverage for, we have other markets available.
Thank you very much, Annette. And yes, at CID, they will help you place where these larger associations fit. If there are short-term rentals or long-term rentals, that's something that we would like to know, but something that we can definitely consider. Unfortunately, there are many losses with these products, so we do see it quite often, but we can consider it and make sure that we're understanding what had happened in the past and what these associations are doing to mitigate future losses. And amenities, I had mentioned just a slew of them. We can provide many of them. The property, we just need to know the type of construction for these, and then what the total insurable values are for the pool, for the clubhouses, for those condo unit owners. So just again, CID has a broad appetite of what we can consider, up to 1,000 single family homes or up to 500 units for those condo associations. Amenities, the wide variety of pools, sports courts, and fitness centers we can accept. Those associations that have up to 50% rentals, those are acceptable, and short-term rentals are acceptable in Texas, California, and Maryland. We have a recent change as of last year, which is exciting, that certainly on the West Coast and essentially everywhere outside of the East Coast, for associations that have no more than 150 units, we can now consider those that are still in construction if they're 70% built. We used to have a limit of about 90%, but we lowered that for the association. So again, there is that opportunity that we want to write more with you, and that's our strategy, how we do so. So we're listening to your feedback and definitely appreciate it. And then essentially, if there is a builder developer on the board of the association, we can consider it as long as all control has been turned over to the association. And yes,
here's a question.
Sure.
And I either Michelle or you or Doug should chime in on this. How competitive are you compared to Farmers Insurance?
So I can speak just for the general liability. I know that, I mean, our rates are, I don't know exactly off the top of my head for Farmers, but our GL rates are quite competitive. And then, you know, we do have the limit for up to 1.5 million for the property, but our GL rates, you know, there is a lot included. But I would say that they are, the minimum premium for this product is $500 in California and across most states. But Michelle, I'm not quite sure about Farmers, or Doug, I'm not quite sure if you know either. So I will say our liability is quite competitive.
I would generally say that we tend to be competitive with Farmers for this class. So, you know, as long as it's not something Farmers is getting off of for a particular reason, or there's something that could hinder it. So if, you know, it was something that was either loss free or wasn't in a wildfire area, if it's in California or something like that, I would say we tend to be competitive with Farmers for this class.
Right.
Thank you, Michelle. Okay, so the coverage is available, you know, as I mentioned, those residential condo buildings, we can provide coverage for the shell of them, or, you know, if there is that outdoor property for clubhouses or pools, signs, fences, we have the ability to write up to that 1.5 TIV. The general liability, there are no deductibles, which is great, and that is for most of for our nonprofit products. Hired and on an auto liability, you know, that we understand there might be employees or volunteers that are running to the bank or running to run errands on behalf of the organization. This can be included. The unit owners are automatically included as additional insureds, and as I mentioned, property managers too are automatically included. So there is no additional charge. It's built into our form. And then blanket waivers are available for unit owners that do require them, such as in Colorado and in Texas. For the general liability, many of these associations, if they don't have a clubhouse, they may have board meetings at a local high school or a library. There is coverage for them wherever they go. So there is that off-premise coverage. Special events are really key. If they're having holiday parties or if there's a summer barbecue or things like that in their clubhouse, we can provide coverage for them for no additional charge. It's automatically included. So they don't need to get a special event policy on that Friday night if they're going to have holiday events or a yard sale on Saturday. And if they're bringing their own wine or beer, host liquor liability is included. Special form coverage is available on the outdoor property, and blanket agreed value is available on non-building structures in California, Texas, and Nevada. And with that, I will turn it over to our Master of Professional Lines, Doug D'Antonio.
Perfect. Thank you, Christina. I appreciate everyone joining today. So I'm going to speak here for a few minutes about the professional coverage, so the directors and officers coverage for community associations, and you know, go over some key coverages, things you need to look out for. So I know we had just talked about Farmers Insurance, but a lot of the other carriers that you may be comparing our coverage or other coverage that CID offers, just some key coverages to look for that are very important. And we'll go over some claims example things as I go here for the next few minutes. But directors and officers coverage for community associations is one of the most overlooked coverages. CID has been a partner with us for many years, and they know the importance of having this directors and officers coverage. So that's why they partner with us and put so much emphasis on on this professional coverage. So things you want to look for when looking at a directors and officers coverage. First being unlimited defense outside the limit of liability. So our claims are heavy defense driven, attorney's fees are extremely high. So it's a great idea to have a coverage feature for unlimited defense outside the limit. So whatever the attorney's fees are, whatever the claims costs are, will not erode whatever limit of liability that the insured selects. So it's a very important coverage to look at when you're comparing coverage coverage forms. Non-monetary coverage. So this is coverage for claims that are not, there's no monetary demand. It's just a demand where someone is trying to change something in the association, or have a neighbor take down a fence that's too high. So something that no one's demanding any sort of money. They're just looking to affect change. Defense for breach of contract claims. So we provide defense for breach of contract claims, but we will not pay for any suit any kind of settlement coming out of them. It would be against public policy to pay for those sorts of things, but we will defend the associations in the case where they are sued for a breach of contract. A coverage that we have here, especially at USLI, is called our lifetime occurrence reporting provision. So this gives lifetime peace of mind to those serving on the board, that if a claim comes out of their time on the board during a USLI policy period, and a claim comes in later where the association has canceled coverage, we give them lifetime ability to report a claim back to USLI. Property management extension. A lot of associations are run by property managers, so they're heavily involved with decision making, handing out fines, sending out notices. So our coverage automatically provides property managers as an additional insured status through our property manager extension. With our coverage form, also employment practices liability is included. So they may not have any employees, but it still would provide coverage for volunteers, committees, and also the board for any sort of discrimination, harassment claims that may come in, and also provides third-party discrimination and harassment coverage. So a third party, meaning one of the homeowners, claims that they are being discriminated against to follow rules or being harassed for dues. Those types of things would be covered by our policy form and are very important to have. And then we also include data and security endorsement, which would provide some sublimits for sending out notices if there was a breach of the resident's data or banking information. There's some sublimits there for some expense coverage included. And this is just a breakdown of the claims that we see on a daily basis and what the breakdown is. So first, 25% of our claims are non-monetary claims. So those are the claims where no monetary demand is being pursued, to someone looking to affect some sort of change. A lot of your throw-in directors and officers coverages will not have this coverage. And as you can see, 25% of our claims account for those. So it's something that be very mindful of when you're comparing coverage forms. Breach of contract claims, 35% is for that. And all other types of claims, it could be a combination of monetary demands where someone's demanding some sort of money for loss of value, you name it, or a combination of the two. That's where our other claims column is coming in.
There's a question here, Doug.
Yes, I just saw that come in the chat. So in California, we do have a failure to maintain insurance exclusion. So we have that in the state of California and Hawaii. Outside of those two states, we do not have a failure to maintain exclusion. I think I hopefully answered that question, but if there's a follow-up, feel free to type it in the chat and I'll answer it as we go here. So claim activity, things, causes for concern, and what type of claims we might see. So the main point of the coverage is to protect the board, and if they're sued and the association runs out of money, it will provide coverage for those and protect their personal assets that are volunteering to run the association. So these are things that you may not consider, but could put someone's personal assets on the line. So non-monetary claims, challenging board elections. The board elections are, in some associations, are very important, and it's a very coveted role. And especially now with COVID and having a lot of meetings being remote, if voting notices aren't sent on time or ballots aren't received within a certain amount of days of the election, these are all types of claims that we've seen and are very important to have coverage for. So our non-monetary coverage would protect that. Architectural review claims. So I mentioned fences before. So we get a lot of fence claims. The neighbor put a fence up too high, it's obstructing my view, it's the value of my property, or someone puts in a garage that's not allowed. Those types of things are all challenges to the Architectural Review Committee and would be covered if that claim came in. Breach of contract, so contracts with vendors. If the association went into contract with a landscaper, didn't pay them one time or canceled the contract outside of the terms, we would provide defense costs for those. And also if there was a claim for breach of contract with the bylaws. So the bylaws act as a contract. So we get a lot of claims for breach of contract for the breaching of the bylaws. And as we talked a little bit earlier, discrimination and harassment claims would also be covered by our product.
There is a question, Doug, in reference to how many losses are acceptable.
We don't usually, if there's 2 losses in the last 5 years, it would be ineligible for us most of the time. But all of the claims, they have their own merit, so that we would really have to take a look at them. But if there's been 4 or 5 D&O specific claims, it would be something that we wouldn't be able to help with, unfortunately. And then the lifetime occurrence reporting provision. So things we talked about this earlier, but it does give lifetime ability for board members that were on the board during the U.S. life policy period to report claims back to us if the board cancels coverage in the future. So a quick example, let's just say Christina and myself both love USLI, we're on the board together, we decide to move across the country back here to Pennsylvania. Once we leave and the board would cancel coverage, so Christina and Doug, they loved insurance, we don't need it. Claim comes in, Christina and I would have lifetime ability to report a claim back to USLI during our USLI policy period. So just a nice peace of mind coverage that is thrown in at no cost.
There was also one more question, Doug. Did you see that in the chat?
Yeah, so we do have an insured versus insured exclusion. We do have a few carve-backs. So we have a carve-back for retaliation, employment practices claims, and we do have derivative actions. So we do have carve-backs there, but we do have an insured and versus insured exclusion, and it's of our belief here at USLI, some of the other companies do have a different mindset, but ours is that the association should be able to handle any sort of internal disputes through the bylaws, through their voting process and the rules of the association. And if there is a claim where 2 board members are suing each other, it's something that we're not looking to cover, but we do have those carve-backs for derivative action, employment practices, and retaliation.
Awesome. Thank you, Doug. Very, very helpful. So again, Doug and the nonprofit team, we do round up the accounts that way. We're providing that coverage for the directors and officers, which is extremely key, and our coverage form is strong. And then if you need the GL and property, we can package it all together. So as I mentioned, we want to make this quick and easy for you for the many opportunities that there are. So what you can do is call this instant quote number, and you'll be routed through CID, and call this number, write it down, put it on a post-it for when you get these associations, and you're going to speak with a live underwriter who's going to ask you minimal information such as the number of units in the association, if there are any, if there's any property on there, we just need to know the property values. For the D&O, we just need to know the number of units. So very limited information. Same with quoting online. We do have the ability, if you prefer to put your hands to the keyboard, you can quote it online. And with all of the quotes that you quote with through CID, you do have the ability to, we will send you a pre-filled application. You're going to speak with a live experienced underwriter such as Doug or myself, and there's no ACORD form needed. We just need that simple information to get you that quick quote that's ultimately going to come with a pre-filled application.
Perfect. Christina, there was one other question.
Sure.
What coverage handles the undamaged portion of the building?
The property coverage, you mean? So we have the ability to write like ordinance and law coverage. We can include that on this product. If I'm answering that correctly, if I'm understanding their question correctly.
Yes.
Okay, awesome. Yes, we have the ability to include that on there. Absolutely. All right. Okay, so I jumped ahead of myself a little bit, but what you need to quote, either quoting online or talking on the phone, you just need to know the number of homes. If the association has any amenities, a pool, clubhouse, sports courts, we just need to know a description. Property, we need to know the values of those amenities, and if there is any additional, fences, signs, covers that they're looking for. We just need to know a brief description. And for the D&O, we just need to know the number of homes, lots, units, and the number of employees or directors and officers. And then while quoting online, if you, again, like to put your hands to the keyboard, this is what it's going to look like. This is exact screen. We're going to ask you, what type of association it is, how many total number of units, and then ultimately it comes down to who is responsible for the insurance and maintenance of the residential buildings. So if it's a planned unit development or a single family homeowners association, it's going to be the individual unit owners. But if it's a townhome or a condo association where the association is responsible for the insurance and maintenance, that's really where we're going to classify it. So if you're not quite sure, that is found in the association bylaws or covenants. That's where you'd be able to find out. And this question is super key because it does determine the class N pricing. So again, planned unit developments or single family homes or individual unit owners, or if it's a condo or townhome association, sometimes the association is responsible for the insurance and maintenance. And then again, with these quotes that you receive, you're gonna receive a pre-filled application. And then once you are selling it and you're speaking with your insureds, you'll be able to just confirm the prior to buying requirements. And all this is going to be listed on the quote. So this is just going to ask you the additional information we didn't know quoting. It may impact the eligibility if you're not sure about the rental units, or if there's a type of amenity that may not be eligible. And then credits and debits are available based on how these questions are answered. But you will receive a pre-filled application, and these questions that were not answered will be listed. And then with that, Anae, I will turn it over to you.
Yes, and I just wanted to say there was a question that came in relative to if you have an ACORD form already completed and you need to get a quote. You would want to, and I will give you that information in just a moment, because that's going to be Michelle, your underwriter, that you're going to want to send that off to. So if you want to do a web quote, you can do that online at CID Insurance. If you want to do a phone quote, that 800 number is also on our website as well. And then Michelle's going to be your underwriter, and I'm going to give you her contact information. She's on the website as well. But before I get there, I just wanted to give you just a brief idea of the types of products that we can help you with. We have a professional liability division, workers' comp division, and then a wide variety of commercial. We specialize in garage, contractors, nonprofit, but there's a wide, and on our website you can find all of those. So next slide. And our website is a great place to get lots of tools for helping you build your commercial book. So we have marketing tools, we have all kinds of educational tools, we have lots of webinars recorded on site for both coverage and classes of business, and then you can see our upcoming webinars. Here's your contact for Michelle. Michelle at cidinsurance.com, or you can call her direct at 619-593-2025. So, and you can send in your applications to submissions at cidinsurance.com, and you can also copy Michelle on that so she sees what's coming in. So we look forward to doing business with you, and we also thank those that are our regular customers that come back and use us on a regular basis. So thank you all for joining us today. Do we have one more slide?
I believe so. Yep.
And thank you again for joining us. Thank you, Christina and Doug. You did a great job.
Thank you so much for having us today, and everyone joining us. We really appreciate your time and look forward for everybody to write more with CID. There's a great opportunity out there.